Welcome guys and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a scenario where Washington makes an empire. So I am going to occasionally keep making these state empires. And today that state is going to be Washington, of course. Well, at least I'm assuming the capital would be Seattle, but could be a different city. Although let's go and begin as they declare on Oregon. And in real life this would be quite close, although once again we can't know exact statistics or exact like what the exact capital would be. It would most likely, well, there are a few options here. The point is we can't know exactly what would happen, and we're going to be giving Washington a few buffs to allow them to win this first war. So let's go ahead and have them push down the coast and more inland until eventually Oregon surrenders. With the surrender of Oregon, Washington has nearly doubled their size and strength, and they're now going to go ahead and invade Idaho. This is going to go very quick as the potato. I don't really know what it's called, but I'm going to be calling it the Potato State. Because potato, Idaho. I mean, come on. We all know that might already be what it is, but if it's not, come on, let's get a petition going for that, the Potato State. We all know it should happen. Ireland, the potato country, Idaho, the potato state. But let's go ahead and continue this, as now they have a lot more weak neighbors. Washington has already turned them into a newfound country empire, a very influential global country even. Currently they still aren't as powerful as California or Texas, but they've passed up Florida, maybe even passed up New York. Let's go and continue that as they declare on Montana. And I know this looks pretty large and it looks like it would be their most difficult challenge yet, but it's the only difficult part of this war is going to be actually walking across the country. Same thing with Wyoming. Honestly, I'm not even going to map that. There is 0 point in doing so. It is just, yeah, Wyoming has like no people. And now Washington is very straight. These borders look kind of ugly, but we're going to be fixing that. And how are we going to be fixing that? Well, with this, which activates this. This is, California would probably get involved in this, and so would New Mexico, but you know what? If California got involved, then the blue team would win, and we have to have the red team win here. So we're going to have them begin to push down into Utah, and down here into Colorado. Yes, Colorado. From there, they spearhead down to Las Vegas, capturing the city, and pushing down towards Phoenix. With the fall of Phoenix, both Nevada and a majority of Arizona are just desert. And with the fall of Utah, it is now just a slow push into the mountains, which is going to be difficult, but it is gradual and eventual. With that, the blue team has fallen here, but they are not going to be completely annexed, as I really just don't think that they would have the power to do so, especially so close to Texas and on the border of California. So let's go ahead and draw in these new borders. Don't want it to be straight anymore, so we're going to be fixing that. And hey, Arizona, you lost barely any land, although same can sadly not be said for Nevada. This small bit of southern Nevada that's left is also Nevada. Call it what you will, And so will this small bit of Utah that's still alive. They both join Arizona. Colorado, yeah, they'd probably just be divided by neighbors here. Yeah. I mean, it's sad to say, but with being so weak like this, there's no way you could survive as a country, or state in this case. So yeah, Kansas got a lot of that land, and a few other countries got some of it. As basically, Colorado may have tried to survive there, but it isn't just the land they lost. They lost a lot of economy. They lost a lot of everything, honestly. There's not much else to say. And their country capitulated. Now, I don't mean like in the war. Obviously, in the war they capitulated, but the country itself just poof. Didn't have the strength to survive on its own. Some of these southern states would have the same issue in real life, but you know what? We're focusing over here on Washington here, so we're going to be ignoring anything that could be happening anywhere else. Canada would most likely take like Montana. They'd probably just unite. Mexico might start doing some invading, trying to secure their land and secure their power before states like California and Texas take more control. New York might just take New England. The South would crumble. Maybe Florida would take power and influence, or maybe Texas. But hey, we're just going to ignore all those things that I just said, because first of all, this would never ever happen like this. And second of all, this is Washington's empire and it's almost done. With that, they have pretty much just one more threat left. And as for North and South Dakota, nope, they're gone. Actually, they have 2 more threats left on their border, and they're going to be fixing both of those. They actually make an alliance with Nebraska, so they aren't going to be invading them. But a country they don't have an alliance with, now this absolutely massive, Northwestern powerhouse. They may be the largest empire I've made here, but Montana, Wyoming, South, and North Dakota, along with a lot of this being let me just show you what's the actual important land here. Okay, this is all completely useless. Well, none of this is completely useless. There are always natural resources. This is all desert. And this is mostly mountains. So yeah, it's really not as powerful as you would have thought, huh? A lot of this land is not very important. If you added up the populations of all these states that they have taken at this point, it would not, trust me, it would not be nearly as much as you'd think it would be. But let's go ahead and finish up this video with their second last war, and that is going to be a war in California. Quickly begin to push into the north of the country, although Californian troops are going to push into a bit of southern Washington. They're going to push around the old Nevada territory, which does not want to be a part of Washington and is semi-rebelling. But sadly for California, the front is going to expand as Arizona was puppeted, and they are now joining this war. They are not by any means the strongest country, but they will provide a larger front for California to have to deal with. With this, Californian troops quickly expel the Arizonans and begin their own push into the country. Although over here in the north, it is not going nearly as well as the Washingtonians. I don't really know, but they're pushing down the Californian coastline and just northern California as a whole. And yeah, this is looking worse and worse here. They do manage to capture Phoenix and are wanting to consolidate a front, which they do so semi-successfully, and here's going to be the huge thing that's going to make this very difficult. As with a lot of the ways that countries join in, there were leaked plans of Washington planning to invade Canada right after the war was over. These messages are sent from California to Canada, and Canada decides that they've had enough. With that, all of the newfound allies of Washington join in, including Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, over here, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and yeah. Some of these countries may look kind of random, but they all decide to join in. And yeah, this war is about to start. Huge, huge war. Well, the point is Washington is continuing to push into northern California and pushing back into their own land. On their own, they can overpower California, and they now have the help of New Mexico to push them back out of Arizona. Not looking so great for California, but luckily for them, Canada has made a surprise invasion, as Washington did not know of these plans being leaked, and Seattle just fell. So with their capital and a good portion of their important land falling, Washington is going to have to retreat some troops to defend their area. Along with that, Minnesota is cut off from Superior. Yes, that's Superior. And, well, Michigan's just trying to hold a front together with Pennsylvania and Indiana. So yeah, not looking perfect for them, but a few more countries may get involved in a bit. And I'm not going to be allowing any more on the blue team because that'd just be unfair for the red team. Canada pushes heavily down to North Dakota, Montana, and South Dakota, along with Wyoming. These areas are not very well defended, as they do not seem as important. With that though, Washington does send a huge army up to retake Seattle. This goes successfully and they begin to push back into all the important regions, along with pushing up and capturing Vancouver, which causes Canada to realize that they are not instantly guaranteed to win this war, which causes them to retreat some land out of the inland. So yeah, they're going to reclaim a good amount of land, although Canada is still holding a front. As for over here in Michigan, well, it's going to be a hard-fought battle for barely any land, as the combined forces of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Indiana are going to make a small landing over here in Canada and begin to push up, although this is very slow, and it's considered barely an attack, as there's not enough strength over here to finish it off. With that, there may be a few more countries joining in on Washington and Canada's side, but the war is already big enough and I want to finish it up. Washington actually decides to retreat out of northern Canada, as there is by far too much resistance here. They protect Seattle but give up a lot more land, as they are currently fighting a two-front war, and a difficult one at that, and they do not want to do that anymore. California has been beaten back, but all of the Californian coast just fell and the country just surrendered. So yeah, Washington's plan works, and it is now just a one-front battle. Sadly for them, Minnesota over here, well, they were cut off and destroyed. With that, Wisconsin is given the choice of join them or die, and they join Canada in the war, hoping to get the Upper Peninsula, which they quickly take over and hope to annex. Although sadly for them, I mean, the push down here in southern Canada, it's going. It's slow, but it's going. Slowly but surely, Canada is forced to send a lot more divisions over here, as I'm pretty sure there's a line like here, and it's like 50% of Canada's population is below that. Very important land, and the red team is making some solid progress. Meanwhile, Washington now is able to send their full military along with New Mexico, Arizona, like Oklahoma. Well, they're all sending all of their military, and that is able to push back heavily. The Canadians are pushed all the way back to the border in multiple areas, and this is not looking very good. The blue team looked like it was destroying in the beginning and the middle. Now that the red team's got their stuff together, well, they're starting to push back. Canadian troops are eventually forced to retreat out of all of Washington, although they still hold a small outpost in Minnesota, and Washington is just sprinting across Canada at this point. With that, Michigan decides that it's time to reclaim the Upper Peninsula, which goes successfully, and together with Washington, they take out Wisconsin. From there, a mainly Pennsylvanian force begins to continue the push into Canada, as Canadian troops are now struggling, to say the least, and this is going a lot better. With that, a few more countries do join the red team. At this point, they see no point in getting land, but decide that their economies could use the help, and just see this as a free way to destroy the Canadian economy and improve their own. With this, there's only more personnel and less hope for Canada, as they are forced to fully retreat out of Minnesota. And yeah, this is going to end fairly soon, as a lot of important Canadian land, including Toronto, is captured by the red team. Over here with Michigan, Indiana, now Kentucky, and Pennsylvania, along with Iowa and help. Meanwhile, Arkansas has sent their troops up here to help Washington, although I don't really think they'll be needing the help. They are storming into Canada. Once again, it's just a matter of how fast they can even move. Canada is cut off from the Great Lakes. Ottawa is captured, along with Montreal. Quebec City is captured. Quebec as a whole surrendered. They rebel. And yeah, there's a lot on this map that you can't see because it's supposed to star the US states, but Canada is now surrendered. Let's go ahead and draw in this peace treaty, and as I said, a lot of these states that joined in aren't going to be getting land, but let's just say Canada has a pretty good life. They have good healthcare, they have very nice people, their economy is very large, their GDP per capita is great, their people are happy. Yeah, that's all gone. Every single thing is going down. everything. Like Canada. Canada just went from one of the greatest countries to live in the world to not one of the worst, but they're down there. They're down there. They are very far down there. Point is, Washington won. They're going to be splitting up California between them and Arizona. And as for Wisconsin, well, it's just going to be divided up. Iowa gets some land. Minnesota also gets their fair share. Although a majority of Wisconsin does go to Michigan. They decide not to fully annex the country, but they're definitely punished and are now barely alive. As for what's left of Canada, well, Michigan is given some land once again. They're getting a good amount of land, but Pennsylvania is also going to get some land, which may not happen, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. Let's give Michigan a bit more land here. There we go. Much better. See, I want Pennsylvania to get some land because they very much contributed to this war, and they were a very important factor, and I think they deserve the land. In this war, if anything, they were more important than Michigan, and Michigan got a bunch of land. So why not give over here Pennsylvania at least a bit? Let's go ahead and see what's going to happen to Canada. You can't see all of it on this map, but they are going to be taking a bit more land. Minnesota is also going to be taking some land for themselves. And, of course, Michigan. As for everyone else in this war, well, they all got war compensation. A lot of it. The U.S., like all of these states now have fantastic economies, are all aligned with Washington. And a good portion of North America is now under this one pact. It may unite eventually to reform the United States of America. But for now, we're actually going to see New Mexico and Arizona unite. And a few other unifications are going to be happening, such as between Kansas and Nebraska. And maybe I won Minnesota, but no, not right now. Not right now. Any other? Nope, not right now once again, but there could possibly be some more later on. As I said, this may end up recreating the US and reforming the Union as Washington, but we're not going to be doing that because it is Washington and we're giving them an empire, not reforming the United States of America. So yeah, let's go ahead, finish this up, and I'll show you the final borders, along with the massive alliance they have made along the way. Which, if anything, I'd say is more important than the amount of land they got. So yeah, here is Washington's influence. Consists of about half of the United States of America, but it also consists of all of Canada. So that's a lot more than it looks like. This is just the states under their control and the land, but it is up there when it comes to strongest countries in the world. They've probably fought their way into the top 10. When it comes to economies, they're also very high up there. Natural resources are high. It is a good country to live in right now. Very good country to live in. But with that, I think this is enough talking. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.